On February 24th, 2009, just a mere 2 years and 4 major updates after TF2's release, we got the 4th class-centered update, the Scout Update! It was, as the name might imply, an update based around the Boston baddie himself, the Scout. It held a few things in it: CP Egypt, CP Junction, a CP Fastlane update, Arena Watchtower, the Sandman, the Bonk Atomic Punch, and the star of the show, the Force of Nature. Its main draw was that it packs a wallop, and that the double-barreled devil was able to quite literally blow your enemies away. Its namesake was likely taken from the Meet the Scout video, where he claims himself to be a force of nature.
Boink! I'm a force of nature.
Its popularity seems to have stuck over the years too. It's absolutely amazing that the very first scattergun replacement, which took away 4 shots and made it a tiny bit harder to shoot things, is still such a popular choice among players, new and old alike. But can I possibly uncover what exactly made this weapon so popular? I have no idea, but I'll try. My name's Cody, and I'm here to ask a question that I've had on my mind for quite some time. How bad could it be? I really do like the Force of Nature. I might absolutely loathe it a little bit, but it just doesn't seem as easy to use to me as it would appear to be. Maybe I'm just not as skilled at Scout as I am with a few other classes. This weapon has a relatively short reload time, and it reloads its entire clip at once. This is especially useful in the terms of it has a very small clip, with its minus 66% clip size equaling a total of 2 shots prior to finally needing a reload. Considering this is a close range weapon, that can be a really bad idea in most cases with the low health Scout, given heavies, demos, soldiers, and pyros even. The reload speed is of course a bit slower to make up for its full clip reload, which could also be very bad given that it's only a 2 clip shot. Unless, of course, you consider the actual amount of bullets this thing shoots in a single shot, which I will get into a little bit later. Back to the reload, in my playtime I devoted to using solely the Force of Nature, the nearly 6 hours, this reload came in handy, but it was also a huge annoyance. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Usually reloads don't get on my nerves too much, but this happened so frequently and a little slower than my senses are used to that I just never felt okay with it. Of course, this is just a personal opinion from someone who mainly strictly uses the stock scattergun and the Babyface's blaster for a change of pace, literally. It just kind of irks me that the reload speed is so damn slow, and that with auto reload on, it occasionally got a bit confusing when I'd have 1 bullet left in the clip. I guess that's enough about the reload. I think I've driven it into the friggin' ground here. To make up for the very frequent reload and the speed of the reload, not to mention the amount of the clip, this weapon has a damage penalty of negative 10%. This seems very minuscule considering this weapon shoots 20% more bullets. This is huge. This weapon does very well in close range situations due to this very stat. First off, it's a shotgun. This immediately makes it capable of a huge amount of damage at closer ranges without a damage penalty. But if we take into account the penalty and the amount of bullets, this is revolutionary. The damage this thing puts out is fucking ridiculous and is probably the only saving grace this weapon has in my book, especially if you go with the strategy of shooting both shots off in a row. There's only one problem that I've got with this weapon's damage potential. It creates a sort of artificial damage fall off, even though it is a close range weapon. I am of course talking about the knockback. Now, the knockback causes huge problems with this weapon's potential upsides, considering all of its upsides are only useful at close range. The bullet count increase, the damage potential added along with that bullet count, and the situationally fast reload. It is a shotgun after all, so of course it has a pretty big spread at farther ranges, but this knockback is not an all bad thing. The knockback is generally ideally used for things like environmental kills off of ledges, into saws and lava pits. Of course, this is what I call being a pissant and an annoyance. It's not hard to pull this kind of stuff off on maps like Upward and, in some situations, Sawmill. Of course, this might mean bad news for you strange Force of Nature users, as I don't think the environmental kills will increase the oh so precious, yet satisfying cosmetic number that we call the kill count. It's also good to mention that the knockback launches them pretty fast and very far in whatever direction you shot them in, with collaboration to just how far away you were when shooting them. The knockback is so powerful that it is entirely possible to launch yourself into the air and get a height boost off of it if you do so correct. When using the Force of Nature, you should be pretty conscious about the state of the battlefield and if your team really needs the increase in damage over the constant and faster fire of a stock scattergun. There are a few ways to approach attacking when using the Force of Nature. Flanking when using the Force of Nature means generally doing one thing, the aforementioned knockback environmental kills. Running behind and launching a demo and medic right off the ledge sitting over here, anywhere, really. Sure, it's annoying, the other team will eventually start coming after you in specific if you're doing it right. Using the knockback, you could potentially launch the enemy into your team, obviously picking out specific targets like medics or problematic heavies to give them a bit of trouble in terms of survivability, given they'll be all of a sudden in the midst of the enemy team, all aiming at them. You could alternatively take the enemy team front on with your team behind you ready to back you up. The only problem I personally see with this is that your team will never completely ditch protecting the medic or aiding the heavy to save your life, unless you're truly contributing to the push, which is entirely plausible with the Force of Nature. You could use the knockback to run in and launch the medic or the heavy that are making your push a huge hassle to pull off into the wall or open area behind them, kind of like the aforementioned launching them into your team to make them more suspected damage. In closing, this weapon isn't that bad. It reloads kinda slow, but it fires pretty fast and even launches your enemies off of cliffs in the event you can't finish them off yourself. It has a considerable indirect increase in damage, and up close it can be absolutely friggin' devastating. This weapon is by no means that bad, and I can certainly see why it has retained popularity and overall quality throughout the years. I see no reason why it should be nerfed severely or anything of the sort anytime soon. I hope you all have a nice day, and I'll check back with you soon.